Okay, so I think we can all see our slides, and just give me a thumbs up. Just give me a thumbs up if I'm coming across loud and clear. Okay, awesome. All right. Okay, so you know, welcome to our session 12 of 12, the final topic in our 12 series, and the culmination of this is closing the deal, right? And even though I say it's a culmination, um, I'll clarify that because closing is not really the end, right? So when we talk about closing, right, do you know when to close, or do you know when you should close, or um, do you have at your disposal the most effective statements and techniques to use? And then when we're all business people, right? And if we're business people, we have to close deals. Okay. And then a lot of business people that I've talked to over the last 20 years, they say, "Oh, when I close, um, I don't want to sound like I'm pushy. I don't want to sound aggressive. And you know what? You sure as heck don't want to sound desperate." All right. So on this session, we're going to cover, some foundations in professional closing techniques and strategies that you can use right away to increase your closing ability and your closing ratio, and more importantly, your closing confidence. So let's get on with this, shall we? Just give me a thumbs up if it's if we shall. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Okay, let me move this over here. Okay. Now, let me ask you all a question. No matter what our level of success, whether it's before 2021, before 2020, I've asked this question as early as 2002, and over the last 18 to 20 years, right? So, just give me a show of hands. How many of you are either worried right now, or you have ever thought to yourself, "Oh, you know what? Uh, I'm I'm a little worried that I don't have enough clients." Just raise your hand if you've ever thought of that. Okay, and then maybe sometimes you wake up in the morning or before you go to sleep, right? And then you think, "Oh, this is my business. This is my product." You just closed a deal, or the last time you closed a deal was a week, or 2 weeks, or a month, or 2 months ago. And then raise your hand if you've ever thought of, where am I going to get my next deal? Right. Okay. And then for those of you that kind of know me, right? I hear a lot of professionals and business owners. They say, "Oh, you know what? I tried reading. I tried attending other courses. I tried, doing a lot of things, but nothing seems to work." Did anybody ever thought of that or experienced that? Yes. Yeah. Me as well. And the sad thing is that uh, even until today, uh, one of the things that we should do as professionals is we should attend courses, we should take seminars, we should watch videos, we should read books. I do this also, okay? And one of the unfortunate things is, sometimes we try to attend a course, whether it's online or offline, and then I pay for it, and then I attend the course and I go, you know what, this is crap, okay? So, and some courses are all theory, or it's some guy talking about what used to work 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And one of the things that I want to promise y'all and share with y'all is that we as me as a person, as a professional, and as a company, we go through an evolution process, right? There are some things that are working now that have worked over the last 20 years. There's some things that's working now that only started working this year or last year. But we have foundations. Okay, so uh, we're all learning, and we're all going through evolution, right? And so one of the things I said when we started this session is that I learned so many lessons in doing a 12 a 12 webinar session series. Okay, and from those lessons, we'll implement the mistakes that we made. We'll look at the things that we did well, the things that we didn't do well, and then we'll adjust. Okay, so there is no such thing as a perfect system. Okay, but there is such a thing as learning the skill, you practice it, and then you take action. And this is the foundation of how I've gone through everything. Ever since I started in the sales and marketing industry. Okay, and I've gone through a lot of things in my life. Um, and one of the things that I do know is that when you're selling, when you're when you're talking to prospects, when you're talking to leads, and there is a difference between a lead and a prospect. Okay, when there is a difference, in these things. But when you talk to leads, when you talk to prospects, when you talk to new clients, when you talk to repeat clients, the thing that you want to keep in mind is you don't want to be like this guy, right? Uh, this is a screenshot from a movie called Tin Men. Okay, it's where these guys would go around and sell. They would sell tin siding, the exterior to put on the exterior of the house in the U.S. And so this guy is Danny DeVito. So I took a screenshot from this video shot, right? And this is like what the typical desperate, needy, salesy, ineffective, inefficient salesperson or a business owner or an entrepreneur, when you show up and then it's like, can you please give me a deal? I want to take some of your time and give you a pitch. And one of the worst things to ever say as a salesperson or business owner, when you start a sales conversation, is, sorry to bother you, but I know you're busy, but okay. You see, when you do these things, you put yourself down here, and then it's like, oh, you know what, you're Mr. Prospect. Can I take up some of your valuable time, right? And you're a professional, okay? You don't beg for time. You don't. You're not desperate to get the deal, even though sometimes you might be, right? Okay, so we'll discuss some of that today. But we definitely do not want to look like this guy on the screen. How many of you all agree with me? Just raise your hand. Okay. So, if you agree with me, take the things that I share with you today, take the things that I shared with you over the previous 11 sessions, put that in your business, and I promise you, uh, you can look less needy, less pushy, less salesy, less ineffective, and less inefficient. Okay? So, couple promises, right? I sincerely respect your time and effort in being here with us on this session. I promise you, I will not waste your time. I will share with you information that is relevant and valuable, and you can use right away in your profession, in your business. You don't need to believe everything I say. You don't need to think I like and trust Chris. I will back up everything that I share with you. I think that sounds fair. So we are recording this session. Yes? Okay. So we are recording this session, and we will get it sent to you. We'll get it sent out to you within 24 hours as a YouTube link, so you can fast forward, replay, rewind, and listen over and over again to the parts that you want to hear again and you want to watch again. Now, the sessions that I do, they're very different from anything that you may have attended. That's free, right? I don't do a pitch fest. There's no hard selling, and I won't get you to buy anything at an unreasonable or inflated price. Okay, I will always usually offer some services or products, but I'll explain them. No hard selling, and I think this sounds fair as well, right? Raise your hand if you kind of agree with me. Awesome, thank you. So, and I want to ask you a favor. If you have questions, write it down because we tend to forget. Either write it down or type. the question in the chat as I'm going through it. I am monitoring the chat. I have someone else monitoring the this whole session as well. So I have a couple screens here. So sometimes you'll see my eyes go this way or my eyes go that way. It's not that I'm not paying attention. I'm just looking at a couple different things. All right. So if you have question, just put your question in the chat, or you can wait until the Q&A at the end of our session. Okay. So closing is a skill. It's it's not a talent. There are some people that kind of have a natural talent, and in any activity, in any sport, in anything that we as human beings do, some people kind of have a natural talent. All right. How many of you agree? Okay, how many of you have heard of this little basketball player called Michael Jordan? Raise your hand if you've heard of Michael Jordan. Okay, natural athlete, right? Michael Jordan. Raise your hand if you agree. Yeah, actually, Michael Jordan was not a natural athlete. Okay, in college when he was playing basketball, he was kicked off the basketball team because he was not good enough. Okay, uh, he's most known for basketball, world class player, and he admits that he didn't have a whole lot of talent. What he did have was work ethic and a desire to be great, and he put that into daily and constant practice. Okay, he was always analyzing, how did I do today? Where did I mess up? How do I fix it? Okay, so closing, actually the whole sale, the everything in selling, all right, everything that you need, all the skills that you need in selling, they're skills. Okay, so closing is a skill, and you can improve in this quite easily. All right, but it's also part of a complete process. So I want you to think about this. Um, think of baking a cake. Let's say, let's say we all like chocolate cake. Yes, raise your hand if you like chocolate cake. Yeah, I love chocolate cake. All right. Um, if you like chocolate cake, and you probably have a favorite kind of chocolate cake. So if, let's say, you were to get the recipe of the chocolate cake, and you followed the recipe exactly, right? Everything in the recipe you followed exactly. You didn't even change 1 gram or 1 degree in the oven, right? If you follow the recipe exactly, the cake that comes out of the oven is going to be really close. I'm not going to say 100%. It's going to be really close to the cake that you wanted to make. All right. But if you change the things in the whole recipe, let's say you say, oh, you know what? I want it faster. I'm going to increase it by 10 degrees, or I'm going to put less eggs in or more eggs in, or you mix up the steps. Okay. Everything in the sales process is like baking a cake. The sales process has steps, and it must be done in the right order. Okay. It's very systematic, and it's a complete process, and closing is a skill that is part of this process, and it's simply a component. Now, am I saying that there's no flexibility? No, I'm not. You can have flexibility. You can move off on the tangents, because that's what human beings do, right? We talk about this, suddenly we move on, but we got to come back. All right. So think of selling as a sales process. All right. So which comes to my next question. Uh, you can type it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself to answer me. All right. So why is closing important? Why is closing important? Just type in the chat. Let me know why closing is important. Okay. To make money, profit. Yes. You know what? I fully agree with you. How about the rest of the ladies and gentlemen? Why is closing important in your business? To sell product. Yes, I agree. Bring business. Yes. The purpose of running a business and selling product and services. Yes. Forget about, okay, what I'm what I'm about to say, it can sound bad, but I'm not saying it in a bad way. You're not in business for your health. You're not in business to feel good, even though we can, right? You you do the things that you do. I do the things that I do so that I can earn money, right? Okay. Uh, we okay. If I go to the grocery store and my business is like just making people happy, and I don't close, and they always say, "Oh, Chris, you're so nice. Can I go to the grocery store and get groceries?" And then I tell the cashier, "Oh, you're so nice. People say I'm so nice, so I need to get these groceries because I'm nice." Right? It doesn't work that way. Closing is the finalization or the formalization of everything that you've discussed up to that point. It's where it's an exchange of goods and services for a reward, or for a monetary or other reward, right? Nothing happens until you close the deal. All right. Anybody play football? Some countries call it soccer. Anybody play football? Just raise your hand. Let me know. Nobody plays football. Okay, David plays football. Now, okay, let me change the question. Have you ever seen football on TV? Raise your hand if you watch football on TV. Everybody's hand is coming up now. Okay, to me, think of this analogy. Uh, your whole sales process is like soccer. What does that mean? Does it mean that you got to run and no? Here's what I mean. Okay, selling, your whole sales process is like soccer. Okay, in soccer you have what's called dribbling and shooting, right? We go from one end of the field to the other end of the field, and we dribble the ball, correct? So the selling process is you're dribbling the ball towards the goal line, which is the close. Okay, you dribble, you dribble, you dribble, you dribble, and then when you're near the goal line, you kick the ball in. And that's the shooting. Shooting is like the closing. Now, which is more important, the dribbling or the shooting? You can type in D for dribbling, S for shooting. Which is more important? Actually, most of you are saying both. Some are saying shooting is more important. Some of you are saying dribbling is more important. Now, let me flip the question a little. Okay, so selling, which is the dribbling, and closing, which is the shooting, which is easier? Type in S if you think selling is easier, or type in C if you think closing is easier. Which one's easier? Actually, you know what? I think you all are getting the lessons. Selling, ladies and gentlemen, selling is actually easier. Okay? Not true. Okay? Closing is the easy part. Closing is just one small part of your whole sales process. Okay? Selling can be harder, but it must be more complete. You have to put in more effort into the selling part. Okay? And then the close becomes very easy. David says, yeah, selling is all about the preparation and the presentation, but not just that, David. It's the it's the follow up. It's how you do the proposal. It's how you handle objections. It's all those things, right? Everything that is done except closing is the selling part. You see, to me, closing is easier if you've taken the right steps, right? Uh, if one of the components that you do in your selling is you sell value instead of price. How many of you have heard, or who's heard other trainers and gurus say, "Oh, you have to sell value, not price"? Have you heard of that? Have you heard of that? Yes, raise your hand if you heard of it. Right. but do they tell you how to do it? I'm going to give you one secret today on how you can increase value and take the focus less on price. Okay? So I'm here to share with you that closing is easier if you've taken the right steps. All of your work should be done in the beginning. And I'm not saying busy work or work that doesn't give you the result. Because one of the very important steps in your selling process is to qualify. We don't want to sell something to someone, and I'll be very direct, no disrespect intended at all. We don't want to sell something to someone that cannot use it, cannot benefit from it, and cannot afford it. Okay, that's very important. So all of the work is done in the beginning. So before we go into the close, let's talk about the basic reasons why somebody does not buy from you. Okay, so I'm not going to read through each of these. You can take a look at it. Basically, these are the reasons why people don't buy from you. Okay. Now, you need to be aware that there are different kinds of buyers. Okay. Whatever your business is, whatever your business is, you will probably come across each of these. All right. And of course, there's more, but these will fall into the same basic categories. So, the needs buyer needs immediate attention. They have a problem that they need to fix right now. Okay, these are usually the ones that search you out. Okay, and they come across or they refer to you. They have an immediate need or problem. All right. Then you have the bargain hunter. The bargain hunter, no matter how much you say the price is, they always want a discount. They always want a free gift. They always want something. Okay. And for me, one of the things that I do is that I build in the discount as best that I can, and I always offer something as part of the package, because all of us love a bargain, isn't it? Right? So I put that in, I build it in. We actually covered this when we talked about how to craft an irresistible offer in a previous session. Okay. Then you have the impulse buyer, where they say, "Yeah, I like this. I want to buy." Right? Uh, Not all of us can have, this kind of buyer. All right. Then you have the wanderer, the wandering buyer. The wandering buyer. I know. I experience quite a fair bit of this. I think I know David experiences quite a fair bit of this, right? The people that you know, they shop around. They get like all kinds of quotes and proposals. They survey. They research the heck out of it. Okay, I will deal with these buyers. Okay, but I tend not to after a certain point, and we'll cover that in one of my rules of closing. Okay, then we have the habitual or the seasonal buyer, and it's the kind of buyer uh, based on the time of the month, the time of the quarter, or the time of the year. So, or it can be based on seasons. It's what we call the cyclical buyer, based on need, want, or desire. Okay, so let's get into my. I actually have a lot of rules of closing. I have hundreds of techniques and strategies on closing. Today, I'm going to share seven with you. All right. And then I'm not only going to share just these seven. I'm also going to share the closing statements that I use. All right. I'll share two or three of those with you. Okay. Okay. So the number one rule of closing. Number one rule of closing is this: lots of leads solves lots of problems. How many times have you said to yourself, "I got nobody to talk to"? Okay. Raise your hand if you've ever said that. All right. Yeah, we've all said it. Okay. If you have lots of leads, you now have what's called abundance. All right. When Think about this, when you go to a buffet, right? All not now, yeah. But when you go to a buffet, you have all the food laid out, right? It's like, wow, you don't even know where to look or where to start, correct? Okay? And you have so much, and then you go, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that, I'm going to try that, right? Because you have lots of choices. Okay? If you cook for yourself and you cook a one dish meal, then you only have that. Not that it's wrong, but you only have that. The buffet is abundance, right? Uh, you got to think about generating leads. You got to think about generating quality leads and turning them into interested prospects. Okay? Because when you have lots of leads, it solves lots of problems. If you don't have somebody to talk to, you have nobody to sell to. If you have nobody to sell to, you got nobody to close. Okay? The number one rule of closing is that fix your pipeline, fix your lead generation. Okay? Don't ever rely on one deal, one meeting, and one client. All right? Rule number two, closing is for them, it's not for you. You see, they've already decided before you know it, they've already decided if they're going to buy from you or not. Okay? Have you ever raise your hand, yeah? Okay? But have you ever experienced this situation? Your someone is trying to sell you something, and then you already told yourself, okay, think about this, right? You already told yourself, yeah, I'm going to buy this, right? But the person selling to you, they don't stop talking. They keep talking about, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great, and then inside your head, you say to yourself, just ask me to buy. Stop talking. Raise your hand if you've ever had that experience. Raise your hand. Yeah, we all have. Okay, so if you do that, you got to know, you have to understand that the person, that your prospect that you're trying to sell, they've already decided. Okay, whether it's conscious or subconscious, they've already decided to buy from you or not buy from you. Okay, there is no value until the close takes place. All right, so you have to have the guts. I'll talk about the guts in one of the rules. All right. And then when I say guts, okay, you got to have the guts to close. The reason why you think you have to have guts to close is because you didn't do your job right. You didn't do it complete in the selling process. That's why you're scared to close in this small little section. Okay, selling is not closing. All right, the sales process converts them to the close. All right, the selling process convinces them, persuades them, tells them that this is the benefit that I'm going to get at this price. That's the selling. Selling is not closing. Selling helps you convince them, that the product or the service or the budget, it makes sense. The closing is the formalization of them saying yes. All right. Never mistake selling for closing. They're two complete things. But if you do it properly, it's a very simple transition to go from the selling to the closing. And the statements, my closing statements that I'll share with you later, you're going to see how soft the conversion is. Okay. The number four rule of closing. Have you heard of this thing called karma? Raise your hand if you heard of karma. Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about karma in sales and business. Okay. You've experienced this. All right. You don't need to raise your hand on this one, but you've experienced this. Okay. Where somebody says, "Yeah, I'm going to buy," and then, "Yeah, I'm going to pay," and then, or they say, they give you the false objection, "I'm not interested. I'm don't have the time." They're indecisive. They say yes, and then they say no. Okay, then they give you fake objections. Okay, If you don't want these things to happen to you in your business, you don't do it to others. Does that make sense? Right? You see, we all get stalls, we all get fake objections, we all get indecisiveness, right? If you do that in your business, if you do that to other professionals, other businesses, you do not have the right to get angry when someone does it to you. Okay? I don't do these things, and that's why I have the right or the expectation that others do not do it to me. So don't do these things to other people. And there's something magical when you do less of this to other people, some way, somehow, forget about the whether it's higher power or whatever it is, right? Some way, somehow, these things will happen less to you. Okay. Now, uh, people will buy when value exceeds price. People will buy. So how do we do that? Okay, I'll illustrate this with a story. Okay, let me see how I can say it. There's a cookie company that's quite famous. Um, you all know? Raise your hand if you know which company I'm talking about. There's a cookie company that is quite famous. Yes, you all know. Okay, so we won't mention the name. All right. Uh, I like the taste of that famous cookie. But the last time I ate, that was probably 6 or 7 years ago. Even though I like it, I like it. I like the taste of the cookie. But the last time I ate there was more than 7 years ago. Okay, this was my experience. Okay, they sell it by 100 grams, right? I forgot the price. I think it's like $12 or $20, whatever it is, right? And they sell it by 100 grams, right? So I go up to the counter and I say I want this one, and this one, 100, right? Or 200 or 500, whatever it is. So let's say I say I want 200 grams of this one, 200 grams of this one, 200 grams of this one. And then they take the tray and then they scoop it up and then they put it on the weighing machine, right? And then I ask for 200 grams and then it's 201 or 202 grams. You know what they do? They take one cookie out or they take two cookies out. It's like, what? You can't even give me 1 gram? And then, so even though I like the cookie, but when they remove right in front of me, it makes me feel not happy, you know? Do you understand what I mean? Raise your hand if you kind of understand, right? So, that one thing that they did, that one thing that they did, okay, make me not buy from them. And the last time I bought from them was 7 years ago, even though I like the cookie, all right? There's another company. This one I'll mention the name. It's called See's Candy, SEE apostrophe S. It's called See's Candy. Okay, they have kind of the same concept. You look at all the chocolate at See's Candies is wonderful. All right. Um, so they have the glass counter, and then you go, I want this one, I want this one, I want this one, and they go by weight also. Okay, but each chocolate piece has a different weight because it's different flavors and the things inside the chocolate, right? So they put it in a box, and then they're supposed to charge by uh, I can't remember, but let's just say they charge by every 100 grams. Also, is how much it is, right? So they put it in the box, they put it on the weighing scale, and then I see it's like 205 grams, for example, yeah. And do you know what they do? They don't take out a chocolate, What they do is they take one or two more pieces from around there, and then they add it into your box. Okay, so you're already over the weight. They don't. They only charge. They don't charge for the extra. Okay, so it's already like 205 grams, and then this is how they do it. They look at the box and the scale, then they look at you, they make sure there's eye contact, okay, and then they go to the other chocolate, and then they take one or two more, and then they put it in the box, and then they look at you again. And when they do that, it's like you feel like, man, this is great value. All right. And whenever I have the chance, I will buy chocolate from See's Candy. All right. So when value exceeds price, people will buy, and that's how you add value. I did a podcast session, a few days ago. Wait, when was it? No, I did it last week. All right, I did a podcast session last week where I specifically talk about how to sell value. All right, so when I send you the link to this recording, I'll send you the link to that video as well, so that you can take a look at that. Now, the number six rule of closing. The number six rule of closing is that you have your sales process, right? But the prospect, the client, also has their own buying process, right? So to be more in sync, to be more together, to be more on the same side, going on the journey together towards a purchase, what you should do is you should do the very best that you can to determine the steps a prospect takes before making a purchase. All right. Um, I'm doing a full day webinar in March, and we'll talk about this concept. I call this concept and this strategy by a fingerprint. Okay, because fingerprints leave marks, right? When the way that somebody buys also leaves marks, it leaves clues on how somebody makes a purchasing decision. And if you were able to find out how your prospect or your potential client, makes a purchase, what goes through their mind and their heart, right? Their logic and their emotion. What are the things that they think about? What are the things that what is their criteria when they're making a purchasing decision in general, and what is their criteria when they're making a purchasing decision for your exact product and service. Okay, if we had that information, just raise your hand if you agree with me. Okay, um, if you had information on how someone makes a purchasing decision and it allows you to adjust your presentation, would that be valuable? Raise your hand if you agree. Okay. And we come to rule number seven. Rule number seven is that you cannot sell to everybody, and you should not, because you're going to waste your time. All right? You're going to waste your time trying to sell somebody that's not qualified, that cannot afford it, or doesn't want it, and you waste your time with those people. All right? So one of the very important steps in your sales recipe is to qualify, and you got to do that as early as you can, because if they're not qualified to buy from you, don't don't continue the sales process. You can put them in a follow-up process, okay, to keep in touch with them so that they can possibly buy from you at some time in the future. Okay, so here's the one third rule of selling. It's a very basic rule. Okay, but I've shared this rule with professionals, and once you understand it, you will increase your closing ratio. You will increase your revenue, your customers, your profits. You're going to increase all these things. All right. And when I explain it to you, it's good. I'll explain it as simply as I can. All right. So there's a one third rule in selling. The one third rule takes everybody that you talk to and splits them into three groups. The first group, out of all the people that you talk to, out of all the people that you talk to, whether you realize it or not, whether they realize it or not, one third of all the people that you talk to about your product and service will buy from you. Okay? That's why I say, if you did nothing else, one third will buy from you. So if you did nothing else, one of the most important things that you would do is that you get really good at generating leads and prospects. then you get all these leads and prospects and coming in. And if you didn't improve anything else, you just maintain everything, one third of those people will buy from you. Okay. The next one third is the people that will never buy from you. These one third will never buy from you, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter how much discount you give, no matter what you do, they'll never buy from you. Either they don't trust you, they don't trust your company, they don't trust the product, they don't believe you. Maybe Yan, you look like the old boyfriend that dumped them, and because of that, they just don't buy from you. Okay, we don't know the reason, and maybe we can try to find out, but we don't need to know the reason. We just need to know that one third of the people that you talk to will never buy from you. Okay, so then we come to the middle third. The middle third, the one third that might buy from you, depending on what you say and what you do, the value you provide, and how you talk to them and how you persuade them. This is why this is why a lot of salespeople, a lot of business owners, they have a 20% or 30% or 10%, but never, ever have I ever come across higher than 30%. Okay, if they don't have selling skills, if they don't have persuasion skills, if they have none of these skills, they will never climb higher than a 30% closing ratio. Okay, and this is a fact. All right. Now, but we've also come across businesses, and we're not talking about fast moving consumer goods like soap, toothbrush, all that. Yeah, we're talking about products and services that we're selling. Okay, then we have the one third of the prospects that you come across that might buy from you, depending on what you say or do. It depends on what you say and do, depends on how you persuade them, depends on how you qualify, depends on how you handle objections, depends on how you follow up. This is where your closing ratio goes from 20 or 25% to 40 or 50 or 60%. You know people in your industry or other industries, yeah, where they say I can close 50% of the people that I talk to. Okay? This is where this is where the skills come in, the tactics come in, and all the things that you need to persuade and convince someone, if the product is right, if the price is right, if the value is right, to buy from you. So you have to realize that there's a few things in this rule number seven. The rule number seven, the one third rule, is that one third will buy from you, one third will never buy from you, one third may buy from you. Okay, so if you're in your business, if you don't improve anything, and you talk to 10 clients and you're closing one or two, that's your closing ratio. Okay, and then we as human beings, we try to not lose deals, but we have to realize that one third, and all this is roughly, yeah, it's not exactly 333. Okay, um, approximately one third will never buy from you. And then where we become super successful is that middle one third, where they may buy from you, depending on what you do, depending on what you say. So I talk to clients. Let's say I talk to coaches. They say, "Oh, I make I close 2 or 3 deals a month." And then I ask, "Well, how many people do you talk to?" "Oh, about 10 or 12 a month, and then I close 2 or 3." You know, they're closing 20, 30%, or maybe less. I've taken sales professionals. The closing ratio is 10 or 15% or 20%, and I brought it all the way up to 60 to 70%. Okay, and it's a whole process. And I promise you, if you improve in your skills, if you refocus your energies on the one third that will buy from you and the one third that might buy from you, and you kind of push away the ones that will never buy from you, you'll have more time, you'll have more fun, and you'll have more energy, and you'll have more money. Okay? Now, when you close, there's only four responses. There's only four. These are the four that you see. Yes, I'll buy from you. No, I'm not. Maybe. And the question, the people that question, is the objections. And it's not like the objection is I'm not interested. The objection is like I'm not sure if we can, take delivery of this by next Wednesday. I'm not sure if I can start this program this month. I don't know if I can pay the full thing right now. Okay, so these are questions when you close. They'll say yes, they'll say no, they'll say maybe, uh, or they question. Okay, now if they say no, maybe you want to find out why they're saying no. All right, uh, and then when they come into the question, that's where the handling objection skills comes in. You see, everything that we talked about in this 12 series is all part of the sales process. Okay, now people will buy from you when they like and trust you, when value exceeds price, and they see the benefit. Now, remember earlier, right around when we started, I was mentioning that sometimes okay, raise your hand if you've ever felt that you're shy to close the deal, or you like feel like, I don't know if they're ready. Raise your hand if you've ever thought of that. I'll tell you this, I think of that sometimes, right? And I've been doing this almost 30 years, and I still think of that, all right? This is the closing mentality. This is the professional closing mentality that you have the right to close the deal. To be able to have the right to close the deal, you must earn the right. Okay? When I say that you must dare to ask for the sale, you actually don't need to dare. You just need to say it. And if you've earned the right to close, if you've done everything right in the selling part, and you know that the product is right for them or the service, you know that the price is exactly in line with their budget, and you know for a fact that they're going to get all the benefits that you promise, you must close the sale. You must do everything that you can to get them to buy. One of my mentors, way back in when I was about 20, 26, 27 years old, his name, his real name, yeah, is Ben Gay. Ben Gay the third. Benjamin Gay the third. Uh, he wrote a series of books called The Closers. Okay, so he shared a story about one of his mentors. Back in the 60s and 70s, they were sitting down having a steak dinner, and then the subject of stocks came up, and I think this kind of stock is you might be familiar with it. It's called the S&P, Standard and Poor 500. Okay, so S&P, when it first came out, it wasn't really known. What S&P 500 is, it's one of the baskets of stocks that is being put in these baskets, and then so the whole concept is diversity. So anyway, I want to explain what that is. Just know that it's stocks in a basket that people invest in, and then the money either goes up or down collectively. Okay, so but S&P, the S&P 500 really shot up in the 90s. I mean, we're talking about I don't remember the exact percentage, but it was amazing for the time. Kind of like Bitcoin now, right? So he was sitting down with his mentor, and then I think his name was Ray Considine. So Ben and Ray were talking, and then so the subject of the S&P 500 came up, and then Ray suddenly got like so angry. He said, about 5 years ago, this mutual fund salesperson, a young salesperson, came to me and tried to sell me the S&P 500. And then Ben was saying, "Wow, did he cheat you? Did he scam you? Why are you angry with the guy?" And then Ray said, "Because I lost so much money." And then so Ben said, did he scam you? Did he put it in the wrong stock? Why are you angry with him? How did he scam you? And then Ray said, "I'm angry with him because look at what the S&P 500 is doing now. And this young idiot 5 years ago was not a good enough salesperson to convince me to buy into the S&P 500. And so I didn't buy it, and look at all the money that I didn't get. Do you understand my point, ladies and gentlemen? Just raise your hand if you understand my point. Okay? If your client is going to get benefit, if you're giving them value, if they can afford it, it's your job to get them to buy from you. Okay? Because we don't want your potential client in 3 years or 5 years have this conversation where they say, you know, this guy, he wasn't good enough to sell me and I lost out on opportunity. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, it's your job to close. It's your job to close, and if you do the selling part right, if you do the selling part right, it's your duty. It's your duty to close the deal. Okay? Let's look at some closing statements. I think if I've interacted with some of you, you may recognize these statements. All right? My this statement I'm about to share with you is the one I use probably 60 to 70% of the time. Okay, there's no magic in the statement I'm about to share with you because all of the work is done up front. Okay, my closing statement is, let's see, two, four, is 7 or 8 words. Okay, these 7 or 8 words have made me a lot of money, but you may not be ready for it. Let me ask you this. Okay, uh, how many of you would like to know what the statement is? Just raise your hand or type yes in the chat. If there are any hands that don't go up, I'm not going to share. Okay, okay. I don't want it to be anticlimactic. Okay, this statement is the one that I use 60 to 70% of the time. Okay, and I have to let you know that it's not a magic statement. All of the work is done in the beginning, and this statement simply converts people into clients. Okay, that's it. Are you ready to get started working together? And it's such a soft close. Uh, 60 to 70% of the time, I use this as my closing statement. Okay. Now this is let's say you're doing a program or you're working closely together with the client, right? So I'm going to give you another closing statement. Let's say you're fulfilling a service or you're fulfilling a product. Would you like to know the second statement? Raise your hand if you want to know. Okay, awesome. Second statement is, when would you like me to start? Okay, so simple. When would you like me to start? If you want to make this a little bit stronger, or if let's say you're delivering a product, right? When would you like me to deliver this? Okay, when would you like me to start? And I always give an option. When I say this, I'll say right away, and then I'll say or when, and then I stop, and then I let them answer. Okay, I have one more closing statement for you. This one's actually the strongest one. Okay, if now I wrote a book called The World's Greatest Closes, and I'm sharing three closing statements with you right now. Okay, but in that book, The World's Greatest Closes, how many closes? Just type in the chat for me. Type in a number. How many closes would you think need to be in the book to say that the book is good? Would you say 10 closing statements, 100, 50, 75? So David says 10. If there were 10 closing statements in the book, it'd be good. What he says 15. Any other guesses? 8. D. You know what? I aim to uh, uh, over deliver. Okay. Let's see. Who else do we have? Donna or Donnell? Do you have 16? You doubled it. Okay. Donna or Donnell, do you have a number that you can put in the chat, so that you can make a guess on how many closes need to be in a book before that book you can say it's good. Okay. 418. 418 ways to close a deal. Okay. I'm sharing three with you right now. Do you need 418? No, you don't. What you need is to know or look through all 418. Look through all 418 because everybody's product, everybody's character, everybody's service, everybody's situation is different. Will all 418 work for everybody? No, it will not. The reason we have so many, and I didn't write all these yet, we collected it over 5 to 8 years, and then we tested all of them. Okay, we actually started with like 800 plus, but we settled on 418. The reason the number is so weird, why not 400? Why not 450, 418? We couldn't we settled on 418 because all were good, and I didn't want to make it 400, then we have to chop away 18. All right, that's why we ended up with 418. Okay. um the reason you need to know have 418 is that you need to know what all of these are, read through all, select about 20 that you like, practice the 20, those 20, maybe today practice 3, tomorrow practice another 3, and then in 1 week you would finish all 20, right? Then you keep doing that, and then out of the 20 you master 5. You master 5, and you always use 2 or 3. Now, why do you need more than one? Okay, the reason you need more than one is because let's say you ask this question, right? Let's say you ask this question, hey Chris, are you ready to get started working together? What if they say, hey, I have a question? Or what if they say, maybe we need to discuss this first? What if they say that? What if they say anything but yes? Okay, then you handle the objection, you clarify the question. Can you now say again, are you ready to get started working together? You could say it again, but it sounds weird, right? So instead of saying, because you already asked this closing statement number one, are you ready to get started working together? Then instead of saying number one, now after you answer the question, after you answer their objection, now you can say, when would you like me to start? And then if they go, question, maybe, whatever, whatever, right? I'll give you the third closing statement. The third closing statement is very, very softly strong. It's so strong, but it's so soft. Okay? So I call it loading the question. All right? And to load the question, we need to go back into the sales process because we need to know what the benefits are and what are the benefits that the customer or your prospect is looking for. Okay, so this is loading the question. Uh, hey Chris, let me ask you this question: if you were to get more sales, more time, and more profit, you'd want to do this program, wouldn't you? Okay. Let's see. Yan. Yan is a walking tour professional in Langkawi. Is that right, Yan? Give me thumbs up if that's right. Okay. So let's say you talk to a client. This one I'm just doing off the top of my head right now. Okay. Let you sell your package tour, correct? Walking tour. Okay. So let's say they go, oh, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Okay, let me ask you this question. If you were to go on the walking tour with me, you get to see, and I'll give you some examples. You would get to feel the fresh air of the sea. Example, yeah. You would have quality time with your family, experiencing nature together, and you also have get a little bit healthy. If you were to get all these things, you want to go on the walking tour with me, wouldn't you? And that's how you would use the closing statement number three. Raise your hand if you kind of like it and you can use it. Awesome. Okay. And if you need to know how to use it, just listen to the recording, and then practice it. All right. So what do you do after you close? Okay. When you close, okay, you keep it simple. You welcome them. For those of you that are clients with me, what I will normally say, and it's not insincere, okay? I will say, thank you, welcome aboard, and I'm going to work together with you, all right? You made the right decision, and then these are the things that we agree on. This is what we're going to do next, and I promise you, I will give you value. For those of you that have interacted with me, these steps, okay, these steps that you see are the things that I do. Okay. For those of you that have interacted with me, you can recognize that this is exactly what I do after I close. Okay. When you do this, everything becomes clear. You make people feel happy. Remember C's candy? I'm already happy getting 200 grams of chocolate, but now it becomes 205. Not only that, they take more chocolate and they put it on. This is what you want to do with your clients. All right. So we will have another series of live webinars coming in March. What I'll do is I'll send the information out to you. Okay, I'll send the information out to you. In the next 24 hours. All right. What I would encourage you to do is think about the things that we talked about today, and don't stop at just thinking. Okay. The next step is that you take it and you make it part of your sales tools and your sales skills, and you implement them. You take action. One of the things I can promise you is that if you take action on the things that I'm sharing with you, you cannot help but get higher results. Okay. So I'd like to share about a paid webinar that we're doing in March, and I'll send the information out to you. It's called the Special Sales Mastery and Excellence Live Webinar Training. It's one whole day. You have a choice of two dates. I believe it's March 16 and March 20. Okay, and these are the things that we'll cover: sales and business success, how to get an abundance of leads, how to build and establish instant, long-term, and effective rapport, how to be more persuasive in your presentations and your conversations, how to handle objections that you get. I'm not interested. Price is too high. Don't have the budget. My uncle, my auntie does this, right? And then how do you close? We talked about, the seven rules of selling today. Sorry, the seven rules of closing today. I shared with you, I shared with you three closing statements, but there's so much more to learn on closing. There's so much more. Okay, and I want to teach you, and I want to share with you how to sell without selling, and how to close without closing. And every business and every professional loses deals because they suck at follow up. Okay, never lose a deal again because of weak follow up. I'm going to teach you how to follow up, how often to follow up, what to do in your follow up, what to say, and the different methods of following up. I will teach you how to do that. All right. Now, there's 2 days to choose from. We're going to get into a Q&A in a minute. All right. So while you're thinking about this, you can write down your questions. All right. So in March, there's 2 days to choose from. One is a weekday, one is a weekend. It's the whole day, 9 to 5, or 9 to 5 or 5:30, right? The first one is March 16. Your next option is March 20. You can do this. You can when you pay for one, you'll get both. Now they're both the same topics, But in a live session, it's a little bit different here and there. So if you choose March 16, you can also attend March 20. If you choose March 20, you can also attend March 16. What that means is that you have a choice of attending 16 or 20 or both. Now, we will also record the session March 16 and March 20. It's not going to be on Facebook Live. It's going to be a closed session, but we will record it, okay, so that you have access to a private link that you can review everything. All right. So I'll go through the pricing very quickly. We're not going to do the this bonus and then get all these things and all that and all that. Now, when we do live events, it's 699 USD. We did it online, it's 299. Okay, I started thinking about this program and saying that we should charge 97 USD for it. All right, then I decided no, we're not going to charge 97. I lowered it down to 67. Okay, and then I was thinking, you know what, we're not going to do 67. This is the final price that I've decided on. The final price that I've decided on is 49. All right. So I'll send you out the link so that you can choose to get your ticket or reserve your seat. I'll send out the link in the email that I'll send out in within the next 24 hours. Okay. Or you can scan this QR code. All right. This will be in the video as well. Okay. Now I want to share with you my final thought of the day of of this session. Right. Okay. When you close, when you close and you say, when would you like me to start? If you're nervous and you know that you didn't do a proper job, you're gonna get nervous, you're gonna get like anxious, and then it's human nature to want to fill the silence. Human beings do not like silence. Okay? That's why in prison one of the worst punishments is solitary. All right, where they take you and they put you aside, and you're by yourself, and you cannot interact with other human beings. Human beings do not like extended uncomfortable silence. All right, so when you say when would you like to start, what do? You shut your mouth and you let the prospect answer, because they will how uncomfortable you feel in the silence, they will feel uncomfortable as well, and so they will say something. I remember in the US I had a ex-partner. We were talking to a mortgage company, and we were closing a very big deal. I think it was like 300,000 US, somewhere around there. And then so me and my partner were here, and then in the owner's office of the company we were trying to close. Every time I asked the closing question, so when would you like me to start? My partner, my ex-partner, would talk, because I kept quiet, because I was trying to force him to react. I wasn't trying to force him to say yes. I was trying to force him to give a response. But every time I did that, and then there was about 10 seconds of silence, and then he would say something. Okay, so this happened for 3 or 4 times, and this is why you need more than one closing statement. Okay, so when the owner had to take a call, and it was just like he had to take a call, and it was just like, hey, you know what? I'm in a meeting now. I'll call you back in like 20 minutes. Something. It was as short as that. What I did to my ex-partner, his name, well, I won't mention his name. Um, what I did to my ex-partner is that I kicked him under the table, and I said, "Shut the up," right? And then he was like, "Oh yeah, okay." And then when the owner came back from the phone call after just 15 seconds, right, 20 seconds, I asked my next closing statement, and he paused for like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then this is his question to me: Can we write a company check? And my answer was yes. Okay, so learn how to shut up. Let the prospect talk. Let the prospect respond. Okay, so With that, let's get into our Q&A, and let me stop sharing the screen here. Okay, at this point, do we have do we have any questions? You can type your question in the chat, okay, or you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question. Okay, so if there are no questions, Wati, is it nighttime where you are? Or it's like very dark. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay,
I don't know
so
how to light on
oh, okay, okay.
the
So
computer.
okay, so do we have, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any questions at all right now? Okay. While you're thinking of any additional questions, I'm going to say goodbye to our friends on Facebook Live, and I'll stop the live stream. So just give me a couple seconds. Let's see. Okay, to our friends on Facebook Live, thank you for watching, and thank you for taking notes. We will see you again soon, and we will stop the live stream right now. Thank you. Okay, so uh, if you don't have any questions, all right, you can WhatsApp to me, you can email, you can give me a call. I may or may not answer the call. It's always better to email or WhatsApp because I respond to those a little quicker. Okay? Do we have any questions at all from anybody? Okay, if not, I want to thank everyone for participating today. I want to thank everyone for paying attention, and I want to wish everyone a safe and blessed weekend. And I will see all of you hopefully very, very soon. All right? Thank you, everyone, and have a blessed weekend. All right? Okay, bye bye.